Hello, everyone. This is Lori Wood, and we're back another week with my favorite person and favorite guest, Shannon. And we're here. Usually we talk about topics relating to divorce or post-divorce. And today it still applies, but we're just going to dig into dating and men and bad experiences, good experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Everything in between.
Yeah. So instead of divorce WTF now, I guess it's dating WTF now. And we're just going to go where the conversation takes us. So welcome. Thank you, Shannon, as always, for being here. You brighten my day every time I see you. And I'm just excited to talk about this conversation.
Yeah. I bring all the good stuff.
You do. You bring all the good stuff. And lately people have been blowing my hair back with information that they've shared. And it's all kind of intermingled with what you're going through, what some of my friends are going through, what some of my clients are going through. And we'll just start the topic off. Following up last week, we talked a little bit about this friend. The guy was real aggressive and came on and did all the right things in the beginning. I mean, hello, gorgeous, texts in the morning, and I love you, texts at night, and got her to the point where, you're the woman I've been searching for all my life. They were planning a life. She was considering uprooting and moving states with this guy. Now, it was only 3 weeks in, so that's another conversation. Yeah. But the minute that they were intimate, he started backing off, and she couldn't figure out why, but she sensed a change. And his line was, been real busy at work lately, and all kinds of stuff, to the point when she kept pushing and trying to connect and trying to get to the root of the problem. And we know how much guys love to talk about their feelings.
Sure.
The next call that she got was, I don't think I'm the right guy for you. I don't think we should see each other anymore. And she was devastated. So we can get so built up, and I say we as women, but I think it would apply to both sexes in some occasions. Somebody heavily pursues you, and maybe you've been through a breakup or a relationship or a divorce, and you've got walls up, and they've got to knock it down. And then when you lay these walls down and you're your vulnerable self and you let this person in, only to be dropped like a hot potato later, it just can really sting.
Yeah.
It can build the walls even higher. It can really make you doubt yourself and wonder what you did wrong. And when we first sat down, before we even hit record, we had a little bit of conversation about that, and you had a different perspective, or you had some more to add to our conversation.
So it's been, a week since we chat, right?
Right.
I've been dropped like a hot potato twice
in a week
since then.
But you didn't plan to move out of state with them or do anything.
I didn't.
Right? Okay, good.
But
it
made me, because that had happened, so I think I had said, right, I went back on Bumble. Right. So I've been back on Bumble for, I don't know, a little over 2 weeks, maybe now. Not very long.
Right.
And there's got to be a weird life cycle of being on Bumble, because it's the first week or maybe the first couple of days, great, matching with all the hot guys. I mean, you're getting off to you're feeling pretty good because you're the new year, because it has a little flag on your profile that says new year. And so it's there's new blood. Yes. Total chum thrown out into the ocean. Okay. And so now you're just ooh. These men are swiping on you.
Bumble women have control.
Yes.
So this is,
so I'm getting so you're getting all the guys, that are we basically had not a couple good.
We will translate for you later.
Yeah.
So you weed them out.
So you weed them out, but you're getting a ton of matches at first. And then all of a sudden you're just oh dear, I'm swiping left, blocked. And that means no. Okay. And you are swiping right far less often. You're getting way less matches. So you go into the Bumble depression.
I was going to say, from so high up and so excited about it. Yep. And all of a sudden reality. And
so it made me think more about that whole situation with your friend, because I watch TikToks. I don't have an account. I just watch them because I'm anti-social media. You get a lot of therapy from TikToks.
Interesting.
And so, and the funny thing is, you start to see TikToks that are whatever weird algorithm they use. It's they obviously are targeting videos that you've been watched, that you've had a thought to yourself, and then all of a sudden you're getting an ad. It's just one of those weird things. And so I get these relationship therapy, whatever types of TikToks. And so I came across this one that I was telling you about just sort of this sort of life cycle of men and dating, and it's this 3-4 week relationship. And that's where I was wow, the advice is, I don't even know what advice to give somebody, because basically the thought is that these men, right, are giving you like the illusion, right, that they're super available, they're communicative, they're caught up in sort of the, I guess, the romance of it, you could say.
Right. They're heavy in pursuit.
And because they're trying to get what they want. Now, I think we all jump to the conclusion that what they want is usually sex.
Right. But not always.
That's an assumption, right? So I think a lot of times we're jumping to like, okay, that must be like the reason, like, right, once they get the sex, then they're like over it. It's not always the case, but I think there's probably room to make that assumption. And so I think that's sort of what this girl was saying was, you know, they get what basically in that like 2 weeks or whatever, they kind of get what they want, whether it's hanging out, it's affection, you know, holding hands, the butterflies, whatever. And then, you know, maybe you are intimate with them. And then, you know, they start to pull back. And then I got really busy. And then the good morning, gorgeous text stop. And they start to kind of pull away. And then all of a sudden it's maybe like a backhanded, like, well, I don't think I'm not the person for you.
I think you're looking for something more.
Yes, I think you're looking for like, in my case, I think you're looking for somebody who could be more available, and you're just like, wait, what? So then you make it think it's your fault. You're like, oh my gosh, was I too needy? Did I do this? Blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, so I kept thinking, I was like, man, like what advice would I give differently if that was, you know, if I was talking to your friend? And I'm like, there's really no advice because it's like, it's going to happen. It's shitty and it's going to happen. And as much as you want to avoid it, it sucks. It's just, I think it's just something that just happens.
It's part of the process. And there really is no advice except because you want to tell people to let their walls down and be authentic in who they are. But at what cost? I mean, like you said, there's the great assumption that it's sex that they're after, but not always.
Yeah.
It can be just the conquest, which meaning I've got that person who wouldn't give me a few minutes before. Now she's eating out of my hand.
Yeah.
I've got her to say, I love you. I've got her to offer to uproot her life, but I don't really want her. Yeah. I've got, now she needs me and my job is done. The thrill of the chase.
They've now formed an attachment.
Right.
It's not, what I'm into. It's not what I'm looking for. And so there it goes. So, whether they ghost or,
make some bullshit up.
Yeah. I guess I could say I got ghosted sort of twice in this last week where I, matched with these two guys. One was older, one was a little bit younger, but the younger guy was like the one who was like, hey, morning gorgeous, like sending me, cute pictures of himself and, just being uber complimentary to me. Like, wow, like, I can't believe you're single. Like, you're so pretty or whatever, just texting me all day. We never had a conversation, never FaceTime, whatever. So it gets to the weekends and went out with some friends on Saturday. And it was one of those things where I probably had like a few beers in me, but we had been texting. And so I sent him a picture of where we were. And I said, you should come out tonight, like bring some friends, whatever. I had a bunch of friends out. So I was like, yeah, come out. And then it's just like crickets. So I'm like, oh shoot. Like,
and this is the one that you had the date with?
No, this is just a different one. This is just, he was a little bit younger than me. But we just literally had just been, messaging, whatever. And so it was almost like, because I was like, hey, you should come out. Because he kept implying that he wanted to see me. So it's not like,
so text conversations all day.
Text conversations for an entire, like probably a whole week. The minute that I was like, hey, you should come out, it was like crickets. And he said something like way, way later that night. Oh, sorry, I accidentally fell asleep. And to me, the walls go up, the trust go, where you're just like, okay, he was probably with some other chick. Like he was super, like that to me was just like, oh, he was probably with some other chick.
Didn't even cross my mind.
And I sent him something snarky like, yeah, sure, okay, like winky face or something. Literally have not heard from the man. So he was sending me good morning, gorgeous, text messages for an entire week. And then this happened on Saturday. And it is what, Wednesday?
You asked him to meet you.
Haven't heard a damn thing from him. Yeah.
And you probably responded to a text that he had sent seconds before.
Yep.
So he didn't really have time to fall asleep.
No.
And then you haven't heard from him.
Yeah. But we were still matched on Bumble. And so I had texted him, it was either Sunday or Monday, like just something funny, whatever. And he just never responded. So I ended up unmatching him on Bumble. And so it just was like, what the heck? So then this other guy, the older guy, so the day before or the day after we talked last time, I was scheduled to have a date with him.
And you were super excited about this.
Super excited.
Date. Right.
Oh my gosh. Best date ever. Like seriously. It was awesome.
Okay, and not to get into too much detail, but you didn't meet for dinner because we don't do that until we've met someone, but you met for drinks.
We met for drinks.
Okay. And you looked adorable. I'm sure.
Yeah, I had just gotten my hair done. I had a cute sweater on. I had cute boots on.
Were they the sparkly purple boots?
They were the sparkly purple boots.
Oh, love it, love it, love it.
It was, and you can't see my hair, but I had just gotten it done. So it was like colored, cut, super cute. I was smelling good. The makeup, brows were on fleek. It was great. And
perfect.
Was
he there when you got there? Did you get to do the walk-in?
Oh,
and
no.
He saw you? Okay.
So he had called me earlier that day and just said, hey, excited to see you later, called. And that's why I'm just like, he called. He called. He picked up the phone. He called.
Not a text.
Not a text.
He called. He put some effort in.
I literally looked at my phone and I was like, why is this man calling me? It must be a butt dial. That's how low our standards are. So I pick up the phone. I'm getting my hair done. And he's like, hey, how's your day going? Awesome. I know you said you were going to, because I had said that I would find a place for us to meet because he's new to the area. And so that was my whatever chore. And so I said, oh yeah, I was like, I just texted you 3 options for us to go hang out at. And he was like, oh great. Yeah, let's just go hit them all up. And I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, yeah, I'll be out of work at, this time or whatever. And then, I'll text you later and I'll let you, or I'll call you later or whatever. And I'll let you know which one we should go to. I was like, okay, cool. So he does. I think he had texted me and said, hey, let's go to this place. That sounds awesome. So I'm like, cool. So we're supposed to meet at 7. I show up at 6:59. I texted him and I said, hey, I'm just parking. And he calls me right away. And he said, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm just running a few minutes behind. Don't hate me. Got caught up with something with work. And I was like, no worries.
Yeah, that's
a few minutes.
At least he called.
So then I was able to actually go into the restaurant and I'd met the waitress before. And so I was like, how do I look? Because I was like, I'm meeting this guy for a first date. And I want to make sure there's because it's a nice little wine bar and it has really soft light. And I was like, perfect. When he sees me walking in, how am I going to look? And she was like, oh my God, you look so good, whatever. This is the ultimate first date spot. If I come up to you and I blink twice, it means I've seen him here. And I was like, girl code. Ugh.
I love it.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Love it.
And so I was like, I kind of doubt it. Again, he's new here. And then she said, well, if it doesn't work out, there's this really attractive guy at the bar. And I could just look at your name and number. I was like, I gotta go back.
This waitress.
I know. She's wonderful.
She's amazing.
So my date shows up and he walks through the door and I was just like, oh, hello. So attracted to him.
Jaw to the floor.
I was like, because we had video chat, mind you, before. So I knew what he was I guess as much as you could say in person for video chatting, right?
But video translation, he was good.
Yeah. He's only 2 years older than me, good job, whatever. So I'm like, great, we can have good conversation. And it was just giggles galore, laughing. I told him about my awesome Halloween costume when I dressed up as Kyle.
I love it.
And he was just laughing and we just had this great time, had a glass of wine, he had a beer. It was great. It was easy. It was so easy.
Okay, good.
So we go and we walk around, whatever. He's, touching my, my lower back, my leg. He's definitely getting a little,
I have to tell you, there's nothing more sexy than a man who guides you through a restaurant, hand on his lower back. Those are the things that put women over the edge. At least,
So
okay. So checking all the boxes so far.
We had a kissy, and he was basically oh, all the things that because he's not from here. He's making all these plans. He was like, oh, I really so you're going to take me on a hike. We're going to go play basketball. We're going to go do this. He was just so excited that he was like, oh, I'm just so excited because all I do is hang out with people from work. It'd be nice to do something with a pretty girl. And I'm like, why not?
Oh,
we can do all the things. And I was so excited.
Right.
And so he said, so he was like, okay, we'll definitely make plans again. So he calls me or he texts me, I think the next day. And
how'd the evening end? Did you go to all three places?
We just went to the one place, did a kissy, and it was a Thursday night. So just,
so just
but we good.
But a really good time.
Really good time. Like I was seriously like,
On
butterflies.
Cloud Nine, butterflies, whole yards, went home, one called friend.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, he like texted me like, hey, just want to make sure you got home safe.
Oh, okay.
Next day, he's like, yeah, I really want to see you again. Like, I'll call you in a little bit. We can make plans. Oh my God, here's his man. He's going to call. He's going to call me. So he calls and was like, hey, like, what's your weekend looking like? Blah, blah, blah. And so he was like, if I can make Sunday work, I will. Like, I've got some stuff with work going on, but it may whatever fall through or whatever. So he's like, pencil me in for Sunday, but for sure, let's hang out on Tuesday. Like,
okay.
Tuesday. Like he literally was like Tuesday at 7. Like, I'll be done with work at like 6. Like, we'll meet up somewhere at 7.
So
We'll
tentative Sunday, Tuesday, 7:00 confirmed.
Okay.
Write it in pen in your calendar.
Yeah.
If people do that. I mean,
do I hear from him on Sunday?
No,
It's not.
but he left with the tentative.
Sure. So I gave him a pass.
Okay.
I gave him a pass. Would I have appreciated just a, hey, just confirming, like, you can take your little pencil eraser, like Sunday's not going to work.
Should he have
I'm
done
busy.
that? Yes, but I know you, and you're a pretty easygoing girl.
So I was like, cool, pass.
Right.
So Monday, still crickets, right?
Nothing.
Still nothing. And so I texted him, nothing. Does not respond to my text message on Monday because I just was like, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? Did you get sleep? Whatever, something generic. He doesn't respond.
And that in itself, I just got to stop you right there. Yeah. I mean, I've gotten texts that I forget to respond to, or I think I'll get to later and I forget.
You know me.
However, it takes 10 seconds to text. So I hate to hear I was really busy.
Yeah.
The
man showed up with 2 phones to our date. One was his work phone, one was his personal. And I'm like, this man does not do anything without his phone.
Right. And if he doesn't have 2, he's got at least 1.
You're getting my text messages, sir.
Yes. And
So-
they're probably forwarded to his email and whatever else
Who knows?
contact. So no excuse.
Crickets. Doesn't respond. So I'm like, okay, I'll give him a pass, right? Because that's what we do. We just keep giving him passes.
We do because we had such a great
'Cause
time.
you know
so
me, like,
we
there's
want
many
it to
times
work. Right.
when I do the dip and I just like go off radar for like a few days because I
Right.
literally just get too overwhelmed, can't text back, whatever. My mom hates it. And so then Tuesday, I think I was like coming back from the gym or something, calls me. He's getting all excited,
And we had the same excitement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, hey, and he's like, hey, good morning. How are you? And I'm like, oh, good. How's your day going? And he's like, oh, really busy. He's like, I just got out of a meeting and I'm literally about to go into one. I only just have a minute, but how about I give you a call around 1 and we can chat more. So I was like, okay. Didn't have to call me to tell me that. Could have just responded to my text
Just called
message.
you at
right?
1. Yeah.
I literally was like going to call like my phone carrier and be like, my phone is not working. People are not getting my text messages.
Crazy that's where we go.
Yes, this man could apparently only call me. I don't hear from him.
1 o'clock passes.
Right.
2 o'clock passes.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
So what did I do? Because I ended up calling him because I was like, again, phone carrier. Right? Like,
Gotta be.
they're messing up. I don't know.
This guy, it's gotta be
I call
carrier.
him, goes to, it doesn't like go to voicemail, but like it rings, whatever, goes to voicemail. Don't leave a message because that's weird. And so then I just texted him and just said, hey, like, I was just trying to confirm if we were still meeting up tonight.
At 7
It's
o'clock.
like, it's 4:30.
That was
It's
10.
4:30.
That
Like,
was
this,
10 in your
yes.
calendar.
This
Yes.
girl got to shower. She got to
Right.
look good,
Right.
She got to get the eyebrows back. Like,
Absolutely.
there's things I need to do.
We got to wax, wave, everything.
Doesn't respond at all. And it is what, Wednesday? I was supposed to go on a date last night. Got completely stood up. Has not heard back from this man.
Not heard back from this man.
No.
And I'm sorry, and I hope this doesn't happen to anybody, and I don't wish it on anybody, unless he got hit by a car and is in a full body cast
Yes.
and coma. There is no reason for this. And what's the point? What's the payoff for him to do this to you? I mean, clearly he had a good time with you.
Yeah.
And clearly he liked you. Because men don't usually fake that.
Yeah.
If you're not interested,
He was very, like, I felt really good, very confident. I was like, wow, this man was like really into me. He was very complimentary. He was very like respectful. Like, he was
And
very.
so didn't have to say any of that if he wasn't. He was the one that was making plans. You didn't say we can go hiking, play basketball, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and I was down. And he like specifically was like Tuesday at 7. That would be perfect. We'll go grab dinner, grab a couple of drinks, whatever. And I'm like, awesome.
So now you've been ghosted.
So now
For
I'm
lack
just
of a
like,
better
well, I'm not
word.
going to reach out to him.
No,
again. Like,
absolutely
that
not.
would be pathetic.
But what has it done to you? What are you feeling?
Oh, I mean, it's 100% internalized of like, well, what did I do wrong?
nothing.
I mean, of course, deep down, I know that. But then my mind just goes to, this is exactly why I literally don't trust a thing a man says to me anymore. It sucks. It's just like this awful cycle where it's like the demons come back out and you're like, every man sucks. This is what every man's going to do to me.
Right.
Well, this is what happens when I try to let my guard down and get excited, tell my friends, like, this is just where, like, cause I'm such a heart on my sleeve. Like I'm always expressing, everything that I want to people.
Right.
And it makes me feel like now I'm embarrassed, telling my friends like, oh my gosh, I had this amazing date. You guys, he called me.
And it's such a low standard, but it's such a big deal.
And that's what we joked about. I was like, you guys, like, this is how like this messed up dating is, like, where I'm sitting here being like, not that he like bought me a diamond ring and like said he wants to spend the rest of his life with me. It was like, you guys, he called me.
Oh my God. And he made you feel great and you were excited. So of course we want to share that with our friends. But now on the flip side, it's not just the internal embarrassment of being ghosted or the devastation or the disappointment or the lack of trust that it creates. Now we've got to not only take that, but in turn tell the people that we've told about this great date and feel the embarrassment for that. I mean, we shouldn't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
It has zero to do with you. And guys, it's ridiculous. What was the point of getting hopes up, excitement? If you're not interested, say you're not interested.
Yeah.
We're tough. We can take it. We're reasonable people for the most part. There's some people who can't take that very well, but if it's not a match, it's not a match. I mean,
but like, what's
it's
the point of making plans?
It's cruel.
And that's kind of like talking to my girlfriends too. It's just like, I just don't like, I just am such a, just
honest,
say, like, do what you say and say what you do. Like, if you're going to say those things, then follow through. And if you can't, then just let me know. And so of course, my friend that's also on Bumble, like, she's always like, oh my gosh, Shannon, like, you're just wasting your time. Like, and I'm like, no, it's the principle. Like, I want to change these guys one douchebag at a time.
It's funny.
And it's hard to not.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, what can we do? What can we say? What platform can we put it on to say, knock the shit off?
Yes. But what's also very interesting is because and in no way I'm saying that this is not the same for men, right? Like there is a female equivalent. It's just about the whole fish thing. All these guys have fish pics. I think what guys get frustrated is, duck lips and filters. That just seems to be the thing that they think that when all women do on their profiles.
For everybody what a fish pic is.
Oh, the fish pic. So usually a guy has a picture of him holding a fish because every man is
interesting. And so the men think that women have bee-stung lips and filters.
Yes. So
and probably a large portion do.
Yes. And so what's interesting is sometimes I'll come across profiles that are like super passive aggressive, where they literally say, listen, if you have filters on your pictures, if you are not going to message me back right away, like basically you could just tell like all the traumas that have happened to them of dating, and they put that in their bio. And it's so funny. It is so off-putting. Isn't that so funny? Because there's so many times that I wish that I would put on my bio, like, don't care about your fish pics. Like, don't be 400 pounds more than what you really are if we meet. Like, that's a thing.
So why is it when they are doing it that it's off-putting? That's interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it would be off-putting to a dude to basically like, cause it's a moment for you to talk about yourself or like give I have a, cute picture and I talk about, I love animals and, I love cheese and drinking by the fire. Like, it's just a cute little blurb.
Right.
But then you see these men basically like saying like, I am fed up with this. If you fall under one of these categories, please swipe left. Don't want you. And there's so many times that I want to say that, but then you're like, but now you just seem mean and you seem whatever. So it's interesting.
But is it not setting boundaries?
It is. But I think it's this weird like double-edged sword. Trust me, I sound like a total hypocrite by saying that. But that's where like what's interesting is like they just sound so mad, and you're like, why do I want to date someone that sounds so mad?
I get that.
But you're like, but I'm in the
same trauma, but now they're putting it out there, so you think
that's their platform, and so of course you're thinking like, okay, this is our platform. We can do it right on Bumble. And then you're like, well, no, it's going to make me sound like a psycho.
So maybe you do the cute animal pictures and the I love cheese and I like to drink by the fire and blah, blah, blah. And then P.S. here's the disclaimer.
Yeah. Don't match with me.
These are my boundaries.
Yeah. If you're not going to message me.
Because it also puts you under a lot of pressure, because let's say this guy gives this disclaimer and you give him the benefit of the doubt because you are not one of those people that are there for the chase. You have pure intentions.
Yeah.
But not everybody's going to be a match, and not everybody's going to have physical attraction and all that stuff. So if you talk to this guy, but then you are not interested, I wonder how it would be received if you said that.
Yeah.
Or if you just be another one of those things that now he's going to put in his bio. Don't break up with me the way that was.
Yeah, maybe.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Dating is hard. And what's made it even more hard is the social media aspect of it. It used to be you'd go out and you'd meet someone organically and you could spend the time and talk to them.
Sure.
Now it's all online, filters, no pictures. I can't FaceTime you because my camera's broken on my phone.
Yep.
We'll just text for a while. You have no idea who's on the other end of that line. So that's the hurdle number one you have to get to. And then when you meet somebody, if you're attracted, great. If you're not, it's a little bit of an awkward situation.
Yeah.
My secretary was telling me that she's older. She decided to get on Our Lives or Senior Match.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
Our time.
There it is. It's our time to shine. And she went on a date. And when she was pulling into the restaurant, she saw a car pull into the parking lot and happened to see the person in the window. And she thought, please don't let that be him. Please don't let that be him. Apparently, he was not at all what his picture.
Yeah.
His picture was probably 20 years prior.
Oh, yeah.
But being the kind-hearted woman that she is, she went in and he sat down at the table and there was no physical attraction. In fact, she even said that your picture is a little bit different from what you look like now. And
because sure that was actually you 20 years
just
ago.
A couple years ago. I probably should update it. I just forgot. And she let it go. And she thought maybe he's just a nice guy and we'll have friends. He asked her out. He picked the restaurant. He did all this stuff. He had 2 glasses of wine and a full meal. And when it came time to pay the check, he looked at her and he says, well, I only have $40 in my wallet. What should we do here? She said, well, I'm not sure what you think we should do, but you probably have a credit card. And he looked like the deer caught in the headlights. Why would you ask me to get my credit card out? I mean, it was so bizarre.
Wow.
But Donna, being the kind-hearted person she is, the wonderful person she is, she just said, we'll split the bill.
Yeah.
And the evening's done.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best. And maybe I'm old-fashioned, and this is off topic, but I want to get into, if I ask you out, I pick the restaurant, I make the plans. I would fully expect to pay.
Yeah, and I think that it's a controversial answer, but I agree. Whoever's asking the other person out on the date,
right,
I think should probably have at least expect to pay.
Or
I think there are a lot of men that are do the whole thing. So it's either a split or a lot of times the guy will offer. But I think there should not be an expectation that the other person is going to pay.
Not if they're being asked out. Now, I'm not even saying it's a male-woman thing. If I ask them,
it's the person who asks,
right? The person that asks
that you should expect to pay, whether you end up doing it or not.
Right. Worst case scenario, you split it.
Yeah.
But expect to pay. This guy to pick the restaurant, to engage in a couple of drinks, to have a full meal, and look at Donna like, I only have $40 in my wallet. What do you want me to do? Almost insinuating that she pays.
Yeah.
Was just, so she really hasn't been on our time since.
Yeah. And I think this is why I keep saying, like, I would love to change these things, like one, and probably shouldn't say douchebag at a time, but one man at a time. But it's because of stuff like this, where you're just like, it just like it's perpetual. Like
it's a just, waste of freaking time.
Because now everyone has accepted that this is just what it is. And so it's okay to ghost people. It's okay to, chase them.
To set the bar so low that a phone call is considered something spectacular.
Yeah.
So now we're 2 matches.
Yeah. So, and 2 and this is where, like, so we're going to take a little bit of a turn here, right? So
yes, let's turn.
So these 2 guys that, drop like a hot potato. There's been another person in the periphery, right? So here's where both men and women should always expect that, especially when you're dating, and maybe it's just my age, but you're talking to other people and so are they. So until it becomes exclusive, I will talk to 3 guys at a time. And talking means literally texting, maybe go on a date. It's not sleeping. You're basically not putting all your eggs in one basket, right? So concurrently, if I match, in this instance, it was those 2 guys that I no longer speak with, and then this other guy that I am still talking to. So there's 3 different guys that you're kind of finding out concurrently, like
Right.
which one seems the best for you.
You're going through the process
I
of
assume
elimination.
that all of those men are probably talking to anywhere between 2 and 5 women. Like it's a crappy truth, but to sit there and say that that's like not happening, like,
I think it's a very fair expectation to
Yes.
think that people are not just talking to you,
yes,
but having multiple conversations,
Sure.
dates, whatever that looks like, until, like you said, there is a
I
choice
just
and
wanna
a
speak with
conversation
you. Yes.
that we're going to be exclusive. And then that needs to be defined even
Yes.
further. What does that look like? Do we take down our profiles?
Yes.
But until you have
Mhm.
that conversation, there's fair game for anything. I feel.
Yes.
I agree.
So this whole time, the only one that's been consistent is this other guy. And I'm having a little bit of I've not met him in person, right? But we've texted, I'm a very visual person in the sense that like when I'm doing something, like I'm outside or I'm, with a cat, that's all. I like to play with my cat. Actual cat, my dogs, whatever it is, I'm at the gym, like I just will snap a picture and be like, oh, follow me this morning, whatever. So
Right.
anyway, so we've been like sending a lot of pictures, not those types of pictures, but pictures.
Your actual cat animal.
Yes.
Okay.
But like you're sending just like pictures back and forth of what your current life is like.
Right.
Whatever.
You're present in
Yeah.
the moment and you're sharing that with
We've
somebody.
not FaceTimed, whatever. He's out of town right now. And so we talked about going out on a first date, like when he gets back. But I'm like at this weird place where I'm like, I'm not sure that I'm incredibly like physically attracted. And so that's a fear for me because right now, like he is very communicative, lots of texting. Like we stayed up talking on the phone one night for like 2 hours of just really good fluid conversation. I will say kind of where I have to draw the line a little bit is we did a lot of trauma bonding because he also is going through a divorce and it was a very similar circumstance. And so I try not to go down those rabbit holes, but I think I always keep it surface with myself. I never give detail, like specifics, right?
Right.
Like, I don't want to know your ex-wife's name. You're not going to know mine. Like, you're not going to know anything
There's
about
no
him
need to
other
do that,
than
right.
This is the circumstance, whatever. And and so, but we've just been, like, he's just been really great. And even when he said, I'm going to be on the East Coast. And he said, I'd still really like to get to know you while I'm over there. And then, I'll come back and we'll hang out. And I'm like, that's fine. I said, I'm going to put sort of the onus on you. You kind of have your stuff going on, like where you're at. He's out there for like an event. And so I said, if you want to speak with me, that's fine. Like, I don't want to be a distraction, basically. Right. But we set really good boundaries where I just said, if you think that that's what you want to do, that's fine. Like, I will totally communicate with you while you're doing this thing. But yeah, ever since, like, he's like, oh, I landed, made it here safe. What are you doing today? Just a stupid conversation, but like, it's been consistent. And
so now, one of your love languages is being communicative and communicating.
Yes.
So that box is getting, it's pencil.
Yeah.
But it's getting filled in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then fluid conversation, not just the fact that he is communicating, but it's good conversation.
Yeah, like it's I wouldn't say it's like there's definitely a friendship there, like in the sense that I'm not saying I'm friend zoning him, but like I like talking to him.
Yeah.
And we get along really well. We have a lot in common. And so it's been about a week now that we've actually had like pretty consistent like communication. And so now my fear, right, is crap. Like one that I'm getting all of what I need from is the one that I'm not really sure about the physical attraction.
And it's because you've only seen pictures and you're not drawn to those.
Whereas these other two, I in their pictures, and at least with one of them on the video chat and in person, right, was like, wow, I'm like really physically attracted. And then the other stuff was also there. And it's, again, I am not a shallow person. I have a very wide spectrum of what I'm attracted to. Right. And for me, it's not just physical, right? Like I have to feel safe. I need to feel, comfortable. But at the end of the day, right, like you want to like,
there's still got to be some chemistry.
Yes. But then I told him that, and that's kind of where I had to set my boundaries with him because I felt like the conversation was getting very, very, what's the way that I put it? Like, it was almost like very customized. And so like, I am a very affectionate person. Like and I say that, right? Like I'm a very like affectionate, lovey-dovey person. I love, like, I'm the person that always hugs anyone I meet. I don't like handshakes. Like I'd rather hug you.
Right.
I'm very like my nephews and my niece, like I'm just cuddle, just the cuddle bug. And with my friends, same thing. Like that I love providing that like comfort to people. And I love when they provide it to me. But then he kind of makes the conversation go a little custom, or at least like directed towards me. And like, well, I really want to cuddle you. When do I get to cuddle you? And so at some point, I think I had to tell him, I said, look, I know that if I speak in generalities, like it's by design. I said, you and I are having we have a really good rapport on the phone. But I said, but I've also had this before. And I've shown up to meet people in person and the chemistry is not there, whether it's sexual chemistry, it could just be like a confidence thing. Like I went out with a guy where he just seemed like the greatest person, like on the phone, but he was super awkward in person and it was very unattractive and just held himself like very timidly. And it became unattractive to me.
Absolutely.
And it's awkward AF when you're like, you have this great conversation, all of this, and then you meet and it's like crickets.
They give good phone, but they don't give good person.
Yes.
And it's very, very true. You can take, and I hate these terms, but for lack of better explanation, someone who's average looking and is this amazing guy, maybe even funny guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he becomes 5 times better looking.
Yeah.
You can take this great looking guy who's got no confidence, maybe quirky, and just kind of is a shell of who they could be or who you perceive them to be. And he's all of a sudden reduced to a 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so much more than just physical appearance, but there's still, with that said, has to be something that draws you in. Yeah, totally. And so your fear that everything over here is so great, what if you get there and there's nothing? Yeah. So I am like, sometimes last night, for example, it was his birthday, which is so funny because I'm just like telling this, I'm like, happy birthday. It's so funny. But he's not a big drinker and he had a couple of drinks that night. Oh, and I was having a rough week, whatever. Had a couple glasses of wine last night with my girlfriend. And so, he starts texting me some things that are like, and like this guy, he's super respectful, like doesn't say gross, like super gross things. Not one of those gross. Well, he did say that one thing about but this is him. This is him. Okay. And so, but he he's apologized, whatever. So the conversation kind of gets a little bit more to like, well, when do I get to test out this cuddle factor with you? And I was like, feel a little tipsy myself. And so I just, and so then I felt like, okay, Shannon, like, don't give in to the text messages, like, because you're flirting. And I was like, but this is exactly what my fear is. It's like, I don't want there to be an expectation that, not that we're going to sleep together, but just that I want to do, like, I want it's going to become something, but to hug or to kiss, whatever. I don't want there to be an expectation that that's what I'm going to want from you. I totally get that because while I could say be present in the moment and enjoy. Yeah. You're also dealing with somebody else's feelings. Yes. And so if you are present in the moment and enjoy the flirtation, and then all of a sudden you see him and you put on the brakes, it's not really great for their self-esteem. Yes. And I've done that before where, the guy was super, it just was your textbook, not like tooting my horn, but it was like, he was way more into me than I was into him. And again, it was like, we had this great rapport, but then he showed up and I was like, it just was one of those things. I wasn't grossed out by him by any means, but it just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't the right fit. And then he goes in for the kiss and I felt forced to kiss him. Oh, isn't that the worst? And so then you're just like, and then how do you recover from that? Because then it just becomes away super awkward. Physically I was pulling away and he sensed it. And he was like, why are you pulling away? And I was like, I just gotta go inside. But it just sucks to feel like I felt I should have just honestly, very nicely just stepped back and said, look, I don't feel like kissing you, but I felt forced to do it because because you don't want to hurt his feelings. Yeah, it's like it was so you sacrifice yourself. It wasn't a bad kiss or anything like that, but I just kept thinking it's just not the person I knew on the first 30 seconds that I met this man in person that was not going to happen. Like I just was not attracted to him that way. Like it just it's wonderful to get to know somebody for who they are without the physical stuff. Yeah. It could be great because then on the wonderful cases, you can see this person and they're everything you want them to be. But when you spend time getting to know someone and you really like them and you're investing and they're investing in you, how soon should you meet them to see if the chemistry's there? I mean, if you speak for a month.
I like to meet sooner than later. I think the circumstances, just because he was going out of town for this event.
Right. How long will he be gone?
He's been gone since Sunday, so I think he comes back on Saturday or Sunday. So we made plans to basically like next Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. Well, who knows if it'll go happen.
Are we penciled in? Are we penciled in or pen? And forgive me, I'm in here stripping my clothes off because I'm having a hot flash and Shannon's looking at me like,
because I'm like, I get one too. I can't take my shirt off though. Like that would be inappropriate.
That'd be naked podcasting.
So that's what's just so funny is like, if there's ever going to be one person that but at the same time, you're just like, okay, like I'll probably never see this person. But that is my fear though, is
now you don't have the fear of whether he's going to be that into you or
show up or whatever.
Now
stand
it's like,
me up.
am I really going to like it?
I don't have makeup on. I
know that
I have a zit in this eyebrow. It's all red. My hair is I have gym hair.
Right, you look like you've been to the gym.
Yeah,
I know.
I feel like I got like a lazy eye over here today.
We're gonna have to do video sometime. Hey, listen, I know we're close when you don't even know if you put deodorant on when you come to see me.
So if I were to snap a selfie of myself right now, 1,000% I would never send it.
Right.
But this is what I look like, right? So it's not about catfishing.
No.
It's about like, I just am more well put together if I'm going to see a man, right?
You put your best foot forward when you're dating.
Sure.
Yes.
But I'm not doing the whole,
you don't
an
have
inch worth of makeup. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. I'm not trying to do all that stuff. But
you're
at the same time,
a picture from 10 years ago.
Exactly. Then he's like sending me a picture of him like as he gets to his hotel room, and I'm just thinking like, oh.
So maybe he has
that's what you look like.
No makeup, just run out of bed, gym look going on, and it's
it's weird because it's I'm not entirely sure what his ethnicity is. Pictures and then not in others, and so I'm just like, is this the same person? Like,
okay, this is gonna be really weird, but I just saw this show about this con artist, and every picture they looked different.
Yeah,
but it was a woman, so it was easier to do with wigs and makeup and all that stuff. But she had like 35 aliases. We need to do a Google search for his picture and see how many Facebooks he has.
Well, we can talk about the psycho things that we do as women for dating, because I'll tell you, I've already found videos of them. That sounds gross. I've seen
we need
professional videos. Like you can Google anybody's phone number or whatever.
Right.
Know his first and last name.
So this guy.
So the video were from like 6 months ago. And he was telling me about how he had like been really not like a big guy or like that, but like, I'm not a size 2.
But so I was going to ask about background checking and all that stuff, but I imagine that's just the tip of the iceberg of what women go through.
This is why we should all be FBI. Like,
I think we all kind of are. We're cyber detectives now.
Yeah. Like just the things that we can find out. And it's not even about Googling a phone number. You know how many women, any picture a guy sends you, that they're not actually looking at the guy, right? I'm looking at like, how clean is the mirror? I'm like,
what's on the dresser?
What's on the dresser? What is your outfit look like? Do you have weird things on your bathroom counter? Like there's more that
picture. Is there a hand in? Yes.
There's a mirror in the back. There's a reflection.
You got to watch those reflections. It'll get you every time.
Yeah. But it's like every picture that I've ever sent to a guy, it could just be like, oh, cute. Here's a picture of me. But I'm literally like analyzing that photo before I send it to make sure that there's nothing like
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Even if it was like a piece of dirty clothing on the floor, like I'm just going to scoot it out of the way, out of the frame. Right. But these guys, I literally just think it's just like snap and go.
Yeah.
They don't think about it.
Listen, women, we've had to put time and effort into how we look for as long as we could walk. Yeah. Guys, they get out of bed, they scratch a few places, they pull on some clothes. Most of the time they put on a ball cap or just brush their hair and they're out the door. So they don't put the thought in that we've been trained to do.
Well,
but it's a good thing because it gives us knowledge.
Yes.
Because they're not trained to hide things.
Yes. And so I feel so badly for any man that is like, because I have a feeling, at least from like some of my single guy friends, right, is like they're always being catfished. And I'm like, I feel so bad because like there actually are like women, and again, like we're speaking in majorities, right? Not minorities.
Right.
Not every man on Bumble is bad, whatever.
Not every.
It's just that they're very, very way more rare to find. And so I do feel very bad when these men are like for me, it gives me confidence because I'm not one of those. I'm pretty plain like when it comes to that. I'm not doing the fake, I don't put on the big old eyelashes and I got the filler and
half the influencers don't even look like.
I don't do the filters, I don't do the social media, all that stuff. And so it does make me feel really good when I like video chat with somebody. But I put forth what I expect, right? I would like you to look like your pictures. I put effort into making sure that I portray my as true
self
as I can, but like looking cute.
Yeah, and I don't think putting on makeup that you would wear in your everyday life is any means deceptive.
It doesn't change
it's just not
my appearance that much.
No.
So for guys, I think it's just it has nothing to do with like, oh, he's is making himself look better. I just think like as a person, I'm just like, he is somebody that if I had to narrow down what my type is, I think he would fall outside of that. But like I said, but then there's just like some pictures or some angles or whatever. And I'm just like, oh no, like I am attracted.
I'm hoping that when you meet him, he's got the best angle possible.
I hope so.
Because this is just, it's nerve wracking.
Yeah. But because he's already made it very, very clear that he's attracted to me. Like has made it very, very, yes. And I am not necessarily that person. I typically don't when I'm like having a conversation. If anything, like I'll tell a man, like I'll compliment him, be like, wow, you're very handsome. You have very epic features. Like you have a very beautiful smile. Like I love the color of your eyes. But I'm not just like, damn boy.
No, that's what you tell your girlfriends.
Yes.
And that's
He has been very complimentary about my appearance. And so I'm just like, I just think that he is very much like, you are my type and you fit my type. And for me, I'm like definitely experimenting with a different spectrum of attraction. Like before, my ex was probably way more who I'd be into, but now like I've definitely expanded what I'm attracted to.
Right.
So, which is really, really cool.
I think it's great. And it's not necessarily a certain type anymore, but maybe it's down to the individual person.
Yeah. Well, why the heck would I want to be with somebody that was just like my ex?
That worked out well. Yeah.
Pretty much anyone with the same name, I'm just like.
I have a friend who must have dated and married 7 Steves in a lifetime. I'm like, at what point do you think we can choose a Jim, a Mark, a Tom, anything but Steve?
Yeah.
But the good thing is, if they had matching towels with their names, or it'd be very easy to swap in another Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you go places and you haven't seen somebody for a long time, they could still call him Steve, and it would be, so there's some benefits.
I matched with another Shannon, like a man Shannon.
Interesting. I've only ever heard of another Shannon. Shannon. Huh? That would be very cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave off for today. Although I know I could just sit here all evening and talk to you. I love it. And we'll do it again because I'm sure that everybody is hanging on the edge of their seats wanting to know what happens with this guy. My last question to you is, because you've been through so much in the dating pool, but I know most of the time you just shake it off. I mean, you're just such an amazing person. You give these men a lot of passes. You don't personalize it because it's not about you.
Yeah.
But it's rough to go through.
Yeah.
Is there any part of you that is creating something, some fear before you meet this guy out of self-preservation? Yeah,
I mean, I think the trust thing is always coming out of a divorce, especially one where trust was completely broken.
Right.
And just feeling like paranoid of just like, they didn't answer my call, or it's like they must be with somebody else. They must be with the other woman they're talking to.
Because if you set yourself up and say, this guy's great, he's checked all the boxes, he's speaking my love language, he's totally into me. If you don't have that, but there might be this, then you're being very vulnerable. And I think that we've always got to, when we've been through trauma, we create kind of an escape hatch for a possibility that it's going to go wrong out of self-preservation. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you aren't more physically attracted to another guy.
Sure.
But instead of just being able to just roll with it now, we've always got to say, it's great, but it's wonderful. But because those times when we don't, we're dropped like a hot potato.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's like the fool me, one, shame on me, or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And it's like, that's what happens. And like, sometimes you lose, I did get caught very much up in this, like that last date where thinking like, oh my gosh, this was like one of the best dates I've ever had. And like, in retrospect, you're kind of like, what was it? Did
I lower the bar?
Yeah, right. But at the same time, you're like, but I did feel vulnerable. And I told my friends like, oh my gosh, she's like, we're trying to make 2 more dates with me. And then now it's like, just kidding. He stood me up. It was like my sister was texting me. Did you go out with me? No, I actually.
And that's the worst, to have to relive the trauma.
And so it just sucks because you are constantly wanting to give a second chance, a 50th chance, whatever. But I think that's also kind of the double-edged sword. I feel like that's like my phrase where it's just like, but it's also kind of beautiful to be vulnerable.
It is.
Because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I could about Italy guy, right? It's just like, you would never know something could happen and, you missed whatever 100, all the shots that you never take. It's just like,
right.
I would rather not have any regrets. And so, I think it comes with the price of being sometimes hurt. But I would always say, like, go for it than not.
Because you have that moment, that memory, that learning experience.
Yeah.
And you are who you are. And people are better for knowing you. And, you're out there for the right reasons. Yeah. Unfortunately, you get a little older, a little longer in the tooth, or you've been through a lot. And no matter who you end up with, sometimes they pay for the mistakes of the other people that were in your life.
Yeah.
But with you have this wonderful way of just still being, this is going to sound silly, pure. I mean, just who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And it's really difficult when it's not returned. If everybody was just who they were and stopped playing the bullshit games, nobody has time for that.
Yeah.
And what's the point? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to tell your buddy and toast them with a drink that I just played this girl. Yeah. You're going to live a very lonely life. So if we could just cut the bullshit, and I'd be very interested in getting the male's perspective.
Yeah.
So if you get along with this gentleman and he is interested in coming and telling me the male perspective, let me know.
You can't tell him that I've already talked about him though.
No. But when he asked you today about the male perspective, maybe we bring it up in a way.
I'm already trying to get some nuggets out of it because I feel like you actually would have a really good perspective.
I think that'd be wonderful. And if you guys are getting together, we can do all 3 of us, or maybe I'll get him on the side and kind of
see how it feels when I meet him.
Yeah. I'm not going to put any pressure. We're not going to talk about it any further, but we're going to find out next week how this goes. And for everybody listening and struggling with dating, I know it's hard, whether you're coming out of a divorce, whether you broke up in a relationship, whether you're just out there trying to find someone. Hang in there, be yourself. Don't take it personally. Don't let other people's bullshit be a reflection of who you are. And we'll be here week after week, hopefully. Yeah. My name's Lori Wood. I'm a divorce coach, life coach, certified mediator, but really my passion is helping people just get to a better place and be the best person they can be. So I'm here if you need me. Reach out on social media. Call me at 916-616-6191. Thank you, Shannon, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Next week, we might even try video. I'm warning Shannon in advance, and we'll just so you can see the funny expressions, because it's just you'll fall in love with Shannon just like I did. Take care, everybody. Do something kind for yourself and be well.